Hey, I'm Mitzelplix, sometimes also known as Graces, and I'm a veteran Splatoon 1 player, week 1 of the game. Now, I've been playing the game for a while over the few series, and I feel like I have a good, deep understanding of the game. Now, I'm nowhere near a top-tier competitive player at all, but I do like to take the game seriously. I've only ever peaked at 2200 in Rainmaker, and that was in Splatoon 3. Not ever did I hit X rank in 2, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about the Painbrush, and what I have learned from playing it since its release. Now, what is the Painbrush? Well, it's a new brush introduced in the recent Sizzle season of Splatoon 3, and it's the heavy class of the brushes. It plays a lot like Dynamo Roller with its ability to fling above walls with decent damage. Only difference is that it's a lot more mobile than Dynamo, and being equipped with Curling Bomb. Now keep in mind Curling Bomb is a very costly sub, being 70%. But I think it's a good tool to traverse the map quickly, and with the special, the Wave Breaker, it makes the enemy a one-hit kill if they're hit by just a single wave. It is, however, 200p, but I don't think this really hurts the weapon, as for the weapon paints really well for itself, and Curling Bomb is also a really good way of painting. Now, what kind of playstyle is this weapon? Well, I like to see it as a mix of supportive and aggressive weapon. Curling is a really good entry tool to position yourself into the enemy team to get an easy kill. Well, that always isn't the case. Painbrush, unlike any other brushes, has a startup time before swinging. Not to mention, this thing is ink hungry. With no ink saver, you're going to get about 15 swings before needing to refill your ink tank. So with the startup lag and the consumption, you're going to need to pick your battles, as for many weapons will outdamage you at a faster pace than you can, so you need to be more on the flank side of your approaches, hiding and sharking in ink before you go in, and get behind the enemy team to get some easy picks. And utilize curling as a movement tool. If you try to paint your way out, you're most likely going to die. Your best options are curling, and if you don't have enough ink for curling, you can always attempt to rolling away. It's going to leave you dying more than less though, and its object damage is actually not too bad for beacons and walls. Speaking of object damage, when it comes to fighting specials, well, this thing barely does enough to take out a bubble, and it's the same deal with Crab. You'll break the special, yeah, but you're left with no ink to fight. And with Crab, you could flank the Crab and get a kill from behind, but a good Crab player is not going to let that happen. However, it does shred Wave Breaker pretty quickly. Now for the rest of the specials, you can easily move out the way in most situations. On to the topic of builds for Painbrush. Now personally, I use a lot of ink efficiency perks like Ink Saver Main, Sub, and Ink Recovery. I also like to have some ink res and swim speed for faster movement. I will also like to add some quick super jump for modes like Clam Blitz and Rainmaker, and sometimes QR for Clam Blitz. Now you can also run more movement perks, but because of how ink hungry this weapon can be, I prefer ink efficiency perks over movement perks due to how helpful Curling Bomb can be sometimes. For maps that I think Painbrush thrives on the most has to be Flounder and Barnacle, with a lot of areas to drop your ink over walls onto enemies. It overall enhances your options to approach your enemies, and at Barnacle, Painbrush tends to hold entryways really well, so modes like Rain and Tower, Pain can easily hold down the area with the right approach. And some maps like Inkblot and Museum are okay, they definitely have less options, but are still good maps for this weapon to hold your team's ground. Keep in mind this weapon's paint. You can help paint your teammates' feet if they are stuck in enemy ink, and will often help lead to less deaths in your team. And for overall modes this weapon works best in, I want to say Tower and Rain are its best modes. But if you want to run some more ink efficiency perks, I think it can work on zones. Clams is a little bit of the mode it struggles the most on, but it can work with a decent set of gear and I think some patience. Honestly speaking, this weapon is really hard to play. Many things can go wrong, with poor moves and poor positioning will end up getting you killed. You really have to plan your moves. Now with a team that might be easy. Personally though, I have zero team experience with this weapon. I only have solo queue experience with this weapon. But I think you can make it work in solo queue. You have to be patient and pick your battles correctly, or it's just going to wind up having you killed and your entire team most likely. So, like I've kind of stated at this point, Painbrush is not easy. It takes a lot of skill and practice to get used to the way it works, and then learning how to fight with it and supporting your team is another thing you have to work towards. I look forward to expanding my knowledge on this weapon, as for it's one of my favorite weapons right now, and I also can't wait to see what else the community can bring to the table. Well, that's it for me guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and would take the time to like and subscribe if possible. See you guys later.